Hey everybody, this is Matt, and you're listening to Bluegrass Jam Along, the podcast for anyone and everyone who plays bluegrass. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Bluegrass Briefing. This is the one for Monday the 3rd of April 2023. And we're going to kick off, as we always do, with just any updates on the podcast, because this week there are some updates on the podcast. And the first one, which is really exciting, is that Collings Guitars and Mandolins now sponsor Bluegrass Jam Along, and I'm delighted about that. I don't know about you, but I'm not really a fan of podcasts that just slap ads for random stuff all over them, and I didn't want to do that. I really wanted to find somebody to work with who I thought was a cool brand and just somebody that I would want to work with, and Collings is definitely that. I love Collings. I love what they stand for. I love the guitars. I love all the people there that I've dealt with, and so I am really excited to announce that Collings are sponsoring Bluegrass Jam Along. It's great for me. It's great for them, it's great for the podcast, and it just helps keep this going and help me spend the time on it that I need to. So thank you to Collings. The second thing is an update on the Church Street Blues 40th anniversary episode. That is now being edited. I've got a couple more people to speak to, but I'm pretty much done now, and there's just some exciting stuff going now. I spoke to Alison Krauss last week, which was amazing. I've had a long chat with Wyatt Rice, which I think is probably the first interview he's done since Tony passed. That's really exciting, with just lots of people, from sort of Bryan Sutton and Chris Eldridge, Tim Stafford, Caroline Wright, through to a guy called Phil who runs an Instagram account called Tony Units that just posts the most amazing Tony Rice content, and this is going to be a good episode. I'm looking forward to it. So it should be due out at some point in April, and I will keep you posted. As always, pop your email address in the mailing list sign-up form at the bottom of the podcast website, or link in bio, an Instagram, or show notes here, and I will let you know when that's coming. But that's going to be great. This week I'm going to put out another one of the 2-tempo jams, because they seem to be the most popular thing at the moment. So I think we're going to do Whiskey Before Breakfast at 2 tempos. So I'll put that up on Wednesday. And that's it. Don't forget to sign up for the mailing list, as I mentioned. Here comes your Church Street news. So, Church Street news this week is Blue Highway Fest. They've announced some acts and their lineup for what's going on there, and that just sounds like a great thing. Obviously, Blue High will be playing. It'd be a bit weird if they didn't. But you've also got Sam Bush, Steel Drivers, Dan Tominski, Daryl Scott, Larry Sparks and the Lonesome Ramblers, Tim O'Brien Band. But just, yeah, sounds like a great thing. Rob Ikes and Trey Hensley will be there as well. I chatted to Tim Stafford after the first one as part of the interview that I did with him, and they were just so thrilled with the way it had gone. So yeah, congratulations to them. Really looking forward to this one. I hope everybody has a great time. Go and check out the website. I will stick a link in the show notes. Which brings us on to The Grass is New, the new release section of this podcast episode. And so 3 things that came out last week. Mighty Poplar is out now. Rachel Bayman's Common Nation of Sorrow is out. And Natalie Padilla's Montana Wildflower. They are all great. Really good albums. Very different, the 3 of them, but they're all really, really good. I've added tracks from each of those to The Grass is New playlist on Spotify, which is the link for in the show notes here, where I'm just adding in some new stuff, and I'll sort of keep a rolling list of new and recent release stuff in there, as well as any bits I'm listening to. So do go and check that out. But also, Grant Gordy's Peripheral Visions record came out on March 24th. And that is really interesting too. Really sort of interesting acoustic stuff. Yeah, I'm starting to listen to that now and really getting into it. So that's going to be in my ears for a few weeks. I think that's really great. Go and listen to Grant Gordy's record. New single from Darren and Brooke Aldridge, Jordan, featuring Ricky Skaggs, who sang on the version Emmylou Harris put out on Roses in the Snow, which is one of my favourite records. So it's really cool to hear that. Go and check that out. I'll also put that in the playlist. East Nash Grass, Harry Clark, who I interviewed a few weeks ago, his band, East Nash Grass's new single Railroading and Gambling, is out, and that's great, and that's in the playlist too. And Jake Eddy, perennial friend of this podcast, he's been on it nearly as many times as I have. Jake Eddy's got a solo guitar record called Live at Spanish Ballroom. I am a sucker for solo guitar. I love people playing guitar on its own, and Jake is great at that. So go and check that out. I put a track from that in the playlist as well. And that is the new releases for this week. So here we go with the Scroll On Buddy section, and this is stuff, as always, that I've spotted somewhere on social media and found interesting. First one, 65th Street Session Concert. 65th Street, what am I talking about? 65th Street Session Concert at New York's Geffen Hall. There's a bit of footage posted from rehearsal for that, with Chris Thiele, Jacob Collier and Madison Cunningham playing together, which is just really cool little collection of people, and I really enjoyed that, and I'm going to stick a link to it so you can go and have a look. A bit of fun. But also a really interesting piece in No Depression by Chris Eldridge of Mighty Poplar and Punch Brothers. And he's written a piece about listening past perfection, and just like a little suggestion of something to do that involves listening to music, just sitting down and just listening in maybe a slightly different way. And I thought that was really interesting. So I'm going to post a link to that. That was a really interesting thing. That's it for Scroll On Buddy. And the In My Ears this week bit, the stuff that I've been listening to. Obviously, I've been listening to Mighty Poplar. I'm loving that record. That's just sort of on repeat in my ears at the moment. Starting to really dig into the Nickel Creek record, which I'm very much enjoying. But talking of Mighty Poplar, I listened to a podcast interview Chris Eldridge did for the Mandolins and Beer podcast, which is a great podcast. I thoroughly recommend that if you don't know it. I'll stick a link in the show notes. But in that, he talked about Seldom Seen, the band that his dad was in, and just made me realise I haven't listened to them for a while. So I went back and started listening to just various bits, sort of shuffled through some tracks, listened to some of their records, and I'd forgotten how good they are. So there's a link. There's not a link, but there's a track. There's a track of theirs in the playlist. It's not a new release, but it's a great track. I really like Seldom Seen. So they've been in my ears quite a lot this week too. As always, do let me know what you're listening to. If there's anything I need to be aware of, give me a shout. That's it. Obviously, mailing list. I've mentioned that a couple of times now. Go to the website for a list of interviews, any chord charts for the Jam Along tracks. And as always, give me a shout. Get in touch. Say hello. Tell me anything that is coming up. Tell me some news. Tell me when your birthday is. Tell me what your cat's called. Tell me anything. It's just fun to hear from people, and people have started getting in touch now I'm doing these, and I'm really enjoying it. So that is the end of this week's Bluegrass Briefing. I will see you next week. Have a great week and happy picking. Bluegrass Jam Along is proud to be sponsored by Collings Guitars and Mandolins, making some of the finest guitars and mandolins in the world since the 1970s. Visit collingsguitars.com and find out why.